It literally is a rip in the veil, and you see the entirety of the heavenly host. In other words, all of the angels.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
And I'm Tressa.
I almost forgot that I had to do that part.
The part where you say hello?
Yes.
Okay.
The part where I say welcome to Monsters Lounge.
Huh.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Hey, me too. What's
doing
going
great
on with
tonight.
you, Jeni?
I'm so all over the place, man. I am telling you what. So, lost my job not too long ago. Well, kind of. We downsized my job to a very small amount of hours per week. And that's fine. And I've started to look for jobs and they don't quite match up to what I actually want to do. But that's neither here nor there. Which is to look for various cryptids, to dive a lot. That's pretty much all I want to do. But speaking of diving, I signed up for a new certification this week and I'm real excited about it.
Tell us.
Excited. It is nitrox training.
I don't know what that means.
Certification. It means that you start using a mixture of air that is more oxygen than regular air that's in the tanks, so you can extend your dive, and it's a nice certification to have if you're going to be doing any sort of technical diving. So I'm very excited about that.
That sounds very exciting. I wasn't really paying attention though, because you started singing diving and I was like, oh, goodness.
It's usually how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not mad about it at all. Yeah, it's nice.
I still love you though.
Thank you. I still love you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's good times. But that kind of goes with a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight, right? Because this past month, I've been having all of these weird sort of pushes, and I don't know if I don't know what they are, right? And my mind's pretty closed off to a lot of intuitive things. I like to put my little guards up. So I don't really know what's happening.
You're consciously doing that though. You know that, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what? I will swim with sharks, but I will not look at anything else. Bloop.
Do not tell me about me. Gross.
Gross. But I do feel like something's changing in my life, and I feel like I'm getting pushed in certain directions, which is kind of really cool, because we're going to be talking to a woman who's all about healing and moving people in the direction that they should be going, right?
Yeah.
So we are talking to Jodi Dehn tonight, and she is an intuitive empath, a paranormal investigator, a motivational speaker, life coach, published author, ordained pastor, and former U.S. Army chaplain. Her work with angels and her military experiences led to the creation of Survival Angel.
You got it. Keep going.
Survivor Angels. And through this organization, Jodi offers loving support to help people escape life's negative energies and engage positive abilities and gifts that they have always been present. She's also earned her master's of divinity degree from Luther Seminary in St. Paul, Minnesota. Anybody who has a master's,
right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the work. So please help me welcome Jodi.
Ladies, hi.
Hello. How are you doing this evening?
I am doing very well. And I've listened to you talking about diving. My husband is a diver. And so when you started talking about all that, it's like, oh, echoes of my husband.
So you're like me.
I stay as far away from water as possible. I am an earth person. He's a water person. I'm an earth person.
I'm an inside person.
Yeah. Do Yeah. Do you also make the same face and then immediately stop paying attention when somebody talks about diving like Tressa does?
Yes. We all have our characteristic faces that we make.
Exactly. I don't need
I
emojis.
know.
It's right here.
It is.
Right.
It's real nice.
Yes. Yeah,
It,
just put it into AI, into Mid-Journey or something, and it'll turn it into anime or whatever for you, and there you go.
Exactly.
she's just gonna start holding up, like when we're in person, just holding up like pictures of her face in various like paying attention poses.
Right.
Just
Actually,
hit
that would
me.
make
Start.
that would make for great fans if you're like at a paranormal conference and you've got like free giveaways on your table, your different faces on the fans and say, which one of me would you like?
You are a genius. We need to print these out immediately.
Immediately.
See, that's how the angels talk to me. They give me all these ideas all the time. I'm not kidding you. They don't stop talking to me. And Jeni, you're sitting there saying, you've got all this stuff coming through and you're putting up the walls and the barricades and you don't know what it's all about. Those are your angels talking to you.
Yeah.
No.
And Jenny's like this. I don't know what you're talking
La, la, la,
about.
la, la, la.
But see, the thing that freaks people out when I say, oh, well, that's your angels talking to you, they think they're these pretty light glowing things with the great big wings and the halos. And you know what? The seraphims who sit at the very top are nothing but like this globe of eyeballs.
Hey, look, I'm wearing my biblically accurate t-shirt too.
Listen, yeah. I'm so excited that you brought that up because in my brain, when people start talking about angels, I'm like, oh, the real shiny ones with the big wings and the white, and they come down and they're like, you're doing this wrong.
But why do they sound like Dave Schrader?
Well, Dave does my opening and my closing on my podcast. Maybe that's why.
Listen, I'm the worst.
God.
I am the worst at impressions, and the only one that I can do with any kind of accuracy is Kermit the Frog. So I do a delightful Dave Schrader that just sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Oh, hi, awesome.
I'm Dave Schrader.
Yeah, everything sounds like Kermit the Frog. And that's why I love your impressions. They're the best ones I've ever seen, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Who can argue with Kermit the Frog?
Nobody. Exactly.
Nobody's going to get mad.
Yeah, Dave and I only live about 20 minutes from each other here in Minnesota. I don't harass him as much as I should.
You
really should. Yeah, you really should. We have to cross state lines in order to harass.
But we'll do it.
I won't tell. You're good. No, but I mean, to go back to who angels are, people just have this total misconception. First of all, they're non-religious. They have no religious agenda at all, nor do they have a political agenda. Let me just throw that in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our current world situation.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, they go back thousands and thousands and thousands, all the way back to when all of this stuff sort of went boom, and everything was here. And so they have been in all the ancient cultures and were here before there was any, quote, religion.
Okay.
And so that's not what it's about. They're genderless. A lot of times they picture them as women, all these really woohoo women, or these really, strong like bull men. You tell I'm wound up tonight. Oh my gosh.
And I am so excited about it.
Definitely here for this. Yes.
And so people just need to take a step back and realize angels are just energy like we're energy. This thing that we're sort of, harboring all of our energy in is like, it's immaterial because that's just all going to go away. And what's going to be left is our energy, and the angels are energy too. Now, granted, they can manifest pretty much in any way that they choose to. That's sort of one of their superpowers, if you will. So they can manifest as a spirit. They can manifest as a human. That's where they say earth angels. They can manifest as a cryptid. They can manifest as an alien. people look at me and they go, those are angels. And I'm like, yeah, when you start connecting the dots, all of those things are angels, bottom line. The good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's good angels, there's ugly angels, there's bad angels. That's the bottom line. You both have looks on your faces like, okay, she
No,
just went
no.
off the deep end.
No, because like I've never heard. This is a lot of this stuff is new to me, and certainly whenever we talk to somebody, like it's so cool because you get to hear all of this stuff that like I typically don't hear, right?
Right.
So the whole idea of angels, first of all, has always been very foreign in my life.
Okay.
But to hear, like, I think the bad angels is like a surprising term, because like I don't think about it, because the only time that I've ever heard about it is within the confines of religion, and you would say, demons or something instead of like bad angels.
Yeah, the
So
demons are.
it's wild.
Yeah, the demons are fallen angels. That's exactly who they
Right.
are. They're all the angels that sort of, took it upon themselves to do what they wanted to and just went south.
Yeah.
That's who they are. And some are worse than others just because. Okay, and this might sound a little foreign to you too, Jeni. Angels have free will just like we have free will, which that again is kind of a religious thing.
Yeah.
But it's true. We have the power to decide if we're going to go down that path or down that path, whatever the case might be. Well, angels have the same freedom. They have those same liberties. So when you get a message from an angel, and you can get them in many different ways, but when you get a message from them, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the message that you need to get. But there's that 1 out of 10 chance, because they're getting the message from their source, and the source can be whatever you consider it to be. It doesn't matter to me. It can be God. It can be the creator. It can be the source, whatever. But that's where they get their message from, because they've got this free will. Don't you love the air quotes? I'm so sick of the 70s. But because they've got this free will, they can change up that message however they want. So you've got to be able to sort of think through it. You don't want to do a knee jerk by what they're telling you. And that gut feeling, that intuition that we talk about, that's the angels giving you your message. That's what it really is. Because this is energy colliding with energy. That's what angels bringing messages to us really is all about. So next question then to that would be, well, how do you know? Are you getting the right message, or are you getting a variation of the message you're supposed to get? That's where it gets a little tricky. First of all, if it's anything negative, you're not getting the right message. Okay? Because they're only going to bring you something that's going to help you and guide you and help you to grow or heal, whatever your situation happens to be. If you're getting a message that says, go jump off a cliff, that's not coming from an angel. Well, it could be coming from a fallen angel, who's, telling you just, okay, go do that. So that's why I say you can't do a knee jerk on what your message is. And sometimes the message isn't going to be real clear. The more you work with the angels, the clearer the messages become. Like right now, when they tell me something, which they probably give me 4,000 messages a day, and I'm not exaggerating. In fact, my husband will say, tell him to go home and take a nap.
That's sound advice for anyone.
Oh, yeah, really, honestly.
Because he can tell when I'm in the zone with him,
Yeah.
and he's like, he'll poke me like right here. And so the more that you start really listening to them and start paying attention to them, the easier it does get. But otherwise, you can get their messages in dreams. You can get them in colors. You can get them in repeating numbers. You can get them in I got one day, and people who've heard me talk have heard me say this before. I'm walking across our backyard, and all of a sudden, this whoosh of colored sparkles went up off to the side. I'm thinking, oh crap, I'm getting a migraine,
Yeah.
because you get the auras with the sparkles. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I just went straight in the house and I sat down, and it was gone. And I thought, well, you little buggers. You just scared the crap out of me,
Right.
because I thought I was getting a migraine. So they can come in all kinds of different ways. They will come as orbs. Now, I know orbs are a real kind of touchy woo-woo subject, because that can be moisture, it can be dust, it can be bugs. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of what it can be.
Sure.
Ball lightning, that's my favorite.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. But with orbs, it's an actual angel orb, two ways. There will be an aura color to it.
Oh.
Okay. Orbs generally are just monochromatic, right?
Yeah.
Or even I should say, there'll be a geometric shape inside of the orb.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
I have one picture of one orb with a geometric shape in it. And it was taken by a friend in a jail in Cork, Ireland. And she was just snapping pictures. I didn't go because I have a chronic back condition, and it was acting up. And so I didn't go, but my husband was with her, and she saw it. And my husband said to her, "You've got to show that to Jodi."
Yeah.
Because he said, "I think that has something to do with angels." And believe me, he's not a big angel fiend like I am.
Okay.
Yeah. But so she sent it to me, and I'm like, that's exactly what it is that is an angel orb, because it had this, not a halo, because generally when we see halos, they're perfectly round. This was more of an oval shape, but that's a geometric shape. And angels are directly connected to the sacred geometry of the universe.
That was my question. Yes. Well, I'm going to ask it anyway, even though you just answered. So is that related to sacred geometry?
It is. I mean, you think, okay.
You really just could have messed with her and said no.
You guys are going to have such weird dreams tonight. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
You'll have to message me tomorrow and tell me what you dreamt. But no, Metatron, who's one of the archangels, I swear to God, he sounds like a Marvel comic
Transformer
character or a DC comic character, but he really is an archangel. Now, one of the criteria to be an angel is you can never have been human.
Okay.
Metatron is one of two archangels, Metatron and Sandalphon, who were human. Now, there's a lot of different stories about how that came about. A lot of people will say that Metatron, it was actually Enoch, but that'll take us down a whole nother rabbit hole, and we don't have enough time tonight. But I don't believe that's true. I believe that Metatron just happened to be one of those exceptional human beings who just probably even came from somewhere other than this plane, other than this planet, a starseed possibly, okay? And he just got it all right from the get-go.
Oh.
So then when the shell died and left, then his soul was granted archangel status.
Dang.
So Metatron's cube, which is the ultimate sacred geo shape. It is the perfect shape of the universe. That's why it's his, and that is the big connection of the angels to sacred geometry. Now, there's a whole lot more, because we could go into all the different hedrons. There's 7 different hedrons. But see, it also, okay, so I have to tell you this, sidebar.
Okay.
In high school, I loved math. I aced Algebra 1. I got to geometry, and I could barely get out of the class.
Oh.
So geometry has never been my thing until I started making the connections with the angels. And then it all started making sense. Well, what's in geometry? What did we work with in geometry class but numbers? Right? It's
Sure.
math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sacred geometry is all math, but for all your listeners and watchers, don't panic, because if you flunked out of math in school, you'll be okay with this.
Yeah.
Promise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't like math.
I'm not good at it.
Numbers are bad.
Ugh, gross.
It's not my strong suit at all, but I can do it. And the more I delve into the sacred geometry piece, the more literally the entire universe makes perfect sense. And so that's like, I just got done recording, producing a class for my school online. It's called Imperial Lyceum. Plug. But it's called Angel Numbers and Sacred Geometry. And so I go into all of that, and trust me, it's high level, because there's so much there and it's so involved. I'll end up doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes on it, because it is so in depth. But it's because you've got the whole universe coming into this.
Yeah.
Because the angels literally were the first thing that the source, the creator, God, whatever you want to call it, the first thing that entity created to be messengers.
So, oh, please go ahead, Tressa.
Thank you, Jeni.
You're welcome, Tressa.
I might have a couple questions right after this, Jeni.
For those of you naysayers, I want you to know how much I appreciate how many of you grabbed a hold of my small package after last week's show. It is out and available. You can get both of my books, The Other Side, A Guide to the Paranormal and Ghost Hunting, and my brand new book, Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness. Both books are out. One, of course, kind of a how-to ghost hunt book, and the other story book of strange supernatural occurrences all around the world. You can get your hand on my small package by just ordering it right off of my website. You can go right to paranormal60.com, scroll down on the front page there, or go to the shop and scroll down and you'll see our book bundle. And I was so humbled by the fact of how many men put their hands on my small package at the end of last week's show and bought it. It was great. It made me feel loved and wanted. I'm not going to lie.
So that was actually just me doing my Dave Schrader impression the entire time.
It's getting really good, Jeni.
I know. Thank you.
You deserve an
Wow.
Oscar for that, Jeni.
Yeah. It's advanced past Kermit stage. So
Yeah.
very
And the
excited
subject
about
matter is on point as well. So
It really,
kudos.
really is.
Kudos.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right.
So to reverse back just a little bit. So we're getting messages and all of these.
You know what,
signs
Jeni? I'm going to
through-
stop you for a second because I have a related question to the good and the evil. Just real quick, and it's sincere, and I know it sounds jokey, but is there a neutral angel
Oh, that's good
between
land.
the evil
Switzerland,
and-
Switzerland angel.
or human? You know, we're not all bad, we're not all good, but there's a neutral concept.
Okay, so the way that I classify them is I classify them as, you have the good light and love angels. You have the ones that are sitting on the fence that can either go good or bad, and then you have the bad ones. And that's why I say it's not as simple as it seems, because just like the universe, the angels are that complex as well. I prefer to break them down for people to make them more accessible so that they open themselves to them more. And they find on their own that as they work with them more and more, they start finding out some of those intricacies and complexities for themselves. And I don't have to say a word. A lot of times, they'll come to me with questions, which that's fine. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense. And It's still hard for me to wrap my head around, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because in my
It's
head,
very
I grew up very evangelical Christian, and there were the fallen angels and the good angels, and I never really considered what was in between.
Yeah.
So yeah.
right. Well, and it's
Good.
because of that free will piece. I mean,
Okay.
that's what it's
Exactly.
all about. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said in the opening, I'm an ordained pastor in the Lutheran faith. I
Mhm.
was raised in the strictest Lutheran denomination. That's what my mom was. Um, hope don't anybody blast me here. Wisconsin Synod Lutheran. but then she had us then in the American Lutheran, which eventually became the ELCA, and of course it got more and more liberal and everything. But still, even when I went to seminary, my professors there were still towing that traditional line. But I had a couple of them that would just spark these conversations and say, okay, so we had to study the Bible in Greek and Hebrew.
Okay.
So I had 2 years of classical Greek reading the original Greek Bible. Now, granted, not all of the Bible was in Greek because some of it started out in Hebrew. Of course, it was translated into Greek. That's mostly Old Testament stuff. But those two professors, they would say, go back and read that again and think about blah, 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 blah. And it just started opening up for me this huge other world. And then, so of course, I'm in my congregation while I'm doing my 4 years of seminary, right? And I was in church on Sunday, and one of our pastors said to me, so have you learned about the aliens yet in the Bible?
Yay!
And I'm like, well, I think I'm starting to get into that. I'm not sure. And he said, oh, you just wait. And it was like, boom. At that point, it's like the door got flung open,
Yeah.
and I had carte blanche to just run through all this stuff and just let anything that came to me just flow. And bingo, here we sit.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
fantastic.
People often ask me why I got into the paranormal. They're always expecting a great ghost story, and I was like, I grew up Christian. The Bible's crazy weird. It has the neatest paranormal stuff in it.
Oh my
I
God.
think-
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom and I go see them as sci-fi movies just because like I was not raised with anything. I have no idea. My mom doesn't know the stories. Seriously.
No.
Like, have you seen them? Like, just watched them as if they were sci-fi movies? It's crazy.
Watched what as sci-fi movies?
Oh my God. Do you not remember like a few years ago when they had like all of the like Bible epics?
I do
Yeah,
not remember this.
Like
All right.
Chronicles of Narnia, even.
Yeah.
Oh.
Stuff like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we get these messages, but are there actual encounters with like angels as we would imagine them?
I have never had one like that.
Mhm.
I have, if you go back and listen to some of my podcasts, there are people who have had them like that. And it's interesting because I've interviewed people who have had near-death experiences. It is the coolest thing in the world. You talk about sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I find interesting about them is they say, well, Archangel Michael was there, or Archangel Gabriel was there. And I say, well, what did they look like? Well, they had the wings. And I just knew that was who it was. Because, Michael was protecting me. I knew that. Or Gabriel was giving me a message that I couldn't stay. I had to go back. And that's interesting to me because what they saw in their near-death experience was a projection of their own mind.
Yeah.
Which also says to me that while these bodies that we're walking around in die, our consciousness goes on because it did in the near death. That's proof that that's what comes next for us.
Yeah.
So for me, when somebody says, well, we're all going to die someday, I go, no, we're not. I just say, yeah, this shell's going to die, but I'm not going to die. You know, this consciousness thing is going to go on for I don't know how long.
Oh yeah, this flesh car, as I like to call it. It'll be gone
You do
someday.
like to call it that. Yeah.
Right.
But we're going to be going on for a very long time, and that's way better than what's going on here. Like this.
Well, you don't know really what form, though. You have no idea, right? Like you
It
don't know
doesn't
if you're
need
going to have
one.
your
I don't
consciousness
care.
or anything else.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that that have told me the stories that that there was a person standing there that said to them, I mean, literally, like you and I are looking at each other, that said to them, you need to run now.
Ooh.
And so they did, and they turned around, and that person is gone. And they should have still been able to see them, even if they were off in the distance.
Absolutely.
Well, they will manifest as like humans like us. Has anybody seen them as an angel? Like I said, I haven't. I don't know of anybody who has. I'm sure that people have, because angels will manifest in ways that the receiving person feels comfortable with.
That actually,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because they don't want to scare them.
Right.
Yeah. You mentioned something too about messages and how like that gut instinct is going to, you know, feel like the right thing to do. But in the little bit that I kind of looked, you talk about like sort of healing trauma through some of these messages and stuff. And what if you are unable to trust that gut instinct? You know, because like when you go through trauma, when you have all of that, it messes up your whole nervous system. And so things that are a good idea seem like a bad idea or feel internally like a bad idea. And sometimes things that are a bad idea feel internally like a good idea. How do you go about like deciphering those sorts of things?
Right. Yeah. Great question. Great question. I've had 3 major traumas in my life. I mean, major. One where I could have died, as well as my oldest daughter, because we were in a car accident. The other 2 were when I was in the military, and I'm not going to talk about them because I don't want to trigger anybody who's listening. But the first one that I had, I literally prayed to die. It was that bad. And I thought I was going to die. What I have found, and the reason I say this is a great question, is that to a certain extent, we manifest our trauma. Now, not necessarily in those situations, because some things we just simply have no control over. I'm actually going to be recording a podcast tomorrow with a good friend of mine who's a psychotherapist, and we're going to talk about this very thing.
Oh, I'm tuning in.
That's going to drop on Sunday. But I do believe that, okay, so my belief, and I say this all the time, is once you are past that traumatic event, you are a survivor. You are no longer a victim because you have survived. And so that's the first piece, is you got to get your head in the right place.
Right.
And so once you can start getting there, you start getting yourself into where you can trust yourself again, and therefore then start trusting in these messages. It's not an easy process. I'm not going to lie. It is difficult. But if you don't start working on it, you're not going to get to that point. But the accident that my daughter and I were in, it was December, and we're of course up here in Minnesota, and we were driving to my sister's, which was about 4 hours away, because my folks were back from Arizona for the holidays. And of course, guts telling me, angels were telling me, you got to find a bank temperature thingy. You know, it always has a time and temp on the bank things outside.
Yeah.
Because back then, you didn't have the temp thing in your vehicle. We couldn't find one. But it was just telling me, I think we're at about freezing, and we could hit ice. Something's going to start freezing.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of get through the last town that would have had these. Sure enough, you know, all the spritz on the windshield and stuff. And it didn't take long, and I realized we were on glare ice, and I was in cruise, which is the worst thing you can be, because even if you tap your brakes, it's not going to take you out of cruise. I kind of went off on the shoulder, those ridges on the shoulder, because I thought if the wheels hit those, maybe that will trip the cruise out of gear, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Well, instead, we went down in the median. We rolled, we flipped 3 times, side to side, passenger side going first. We came up in the opposite bound lanes of 94, did 2 360s, and stopped perpendicular in the road.
Oh my God.
Thank God, nobody was coming except for a semi about 10 minutes later. But I was able to get that vehicle off on the shoulder. It felt like I was driving a Sherman tank because I'd blown all the rubber off the tires.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as we're sitting there, of course, we called 911. We knew we had emergency people coming and everything. We both had actually also called our husbands, who thought we were kidding. We're going, we've just been in an accident. Oh, yeah, sure you were.
No, for real.
Sirs.
Right.
Also, you're in a lot of trouble.
But so as we're sitting there waiting, my daughter says to me, "This is my worst nightmare. I have always had the feeling that we would be in an accident together." Did she manifest that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was way back. I mean, I don't know, 10, 15 years that she had first thought about that. I can't say, but that's what the psychotherapist and I are going to talk about.
Okay.
So given that, I believe that after you've been in a traumatic situation, had a traumatic experience, that you yourself manifest not being able to get past it.
Okay.
That you always slide back into the memory, which then sort of holds you down. And that's why you're not listening to the angels coming through.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, because it for me, I'm looking at it like the nervous system reaction to trauma, right? Yep. And it takes, you're right, it takes some serious work. It takes a lot of different things in order to sort of reset that nervous system. And you have to work at it, and you continuously do.
Right.
I was looking through your website, and I saw the angel rituals that you had. Mm-hmm. And some of them, I mean, it's incredible. I'm part of a program that stresses a lot of inward reflection and things like that, and a couple of different things. And then I got into yoga specifically to deal with trauma, and then just really loved it. So I'm seeing the mirroring in those rituals that you have, and they're just incredible, and it's all about resetting everything. So there's another plug right there. Go to the website, check those out. Whatever your thoughts on angels, they're good things to follow.
Right. And when I write those, the angels are giving me all of that. I mean, I can honestly say that because I'm not afraid to say my age. I'm 70. I'll be 71 years old next month.
Sure.
And look at you. We'll talk about skincare later.
But I had my first angel experience at 3. I didn't realize that one as much as the one I had at 4. But of course, you go back through your life and you start thinking about all of these. And so all the times where the angels were so prominently there and all of that now every day when I go to write those, I just sit and listen for what they give me. And it just comes. It's not me writing them. It's them writing them. Granted, it's my writing style, but it's the message that they have given to me to put out there is what it is. And so they know what people need, because it's amazing how many emails and messages I get from people saying, "Oh my gosh, I so needed that today." And I'm like, "Thank you, angels."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm more impressed that you remember anything at 3 years old than the actual messages from angels. What? 3 years old? I don't.
So, okay. All right. Not many people know that. I actually remember things back to when I was about 18 months, 2 years old.
What?
But okay. So here's Here's why. I've always known I was different. I don't belong anywhere. I know I don't feel at home anyplace. I never have, and I
Preach.
never will. It's not that I don't feel loved. I know people love me. I love them back. That's not it.
Yep.
My favorite thing to do, always has been, is to be outside at night in open fields or in the mountains and just look up at the sky.
Okay.
Well, last year we were in Greece, and I'm going to do a plug for a friend here. We were on a Mysterious Adventures tours. Grant and Rihanna Wilson were our ambassadors, Grant being from Ghost Hunters. But we also had a Greek psychic medium with us, Catherine Cyrillos. And we actually had 2 incredible experiences there. And so my husband and I went to her for readings. Are we doing good? You need to take a break.
Oh, what a great idea.
A vampire in Rhode Island?
A UFO crash in Connecticut?
A flying moose in Maine?
A haunted bridge that calls your name?
New England is weird.
Really weird.
Wicked Strange by Jeff Belanger and Frank Grace is your ticket to the bizarre. Ghosts, monsters, urban legends, and roadside oddities you won't believe until you see them.
So pre-order now on Amazon. It drops September 2nd.
Assuming the Black Dog of West Peak doesn't get you first.
Let's get strange.
Wicked Strange. Pre-order your copy now on Amazon.
By the way, I've started doing an impersonation of Winnie as well. So,
Does it sound like Kermit?
no, I'm really tuning it in.
Not interested.
Kermit or nothing.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Tell us about this trip.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're going to have this reading. It was interesting because she used oracle cards with me. She used tarot cards with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why, but she's a medium, so whatever.
Sure.
So in the process of this, she said to me, where is your home? And I thought, okay, she doesn't want to know geographic locations at all. And I said, I think it's in the stars. She said, yes, you're from Pleiadia.
Yeah.
You're a Pleiadian.
Yeah.
She said, you already know you're a light worker. Well, you are a star seed known as a Pleiadian. And she said it makes perfect sense because it's where there's 7 planets, 7 stars together. They're called the 7 sisters. 7 is my number. Taurus is the astrological piece for that part of the galaxy, if you will. And she said, it's the healing piece. And she said, what's your mission? She said, it's to heal people who struggle with life and from trauma, right? And I said, yeah, I'm just kind of that she actually put a name to this. And that's when she told me I needed to start the school, because she said, and you've got 5 years to do it, because she said, your message of healing is what is going to heal this world for when the awakening is full on in 5 years, 2029. My husband's sitting there and she looks at him and he goes, sure, I'll believe anything. You gotta meet my husband. I love him to death.
I love him too. This is so great. I love that. It's like the epitome of supportive. Like, all right.
Yep.
Right.
Not a problem.
So this was, the first time that I had anybody put a name to this. But then, so I started thinking, and all of these things came rushing back to me from even when I was like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, that I hadn't already thought of. That it was total connection. But the other thing that happened when we were on this trip is one of the guys who was with us. He's also an Army veteran, so we got along great. But we were out in this deserted area of Greece, no streetlights, nothing. And this is at night. We're doing an investigation, and he was just snapping pictures with his phone. And so he got 3 pictures. The first one was black. The second one had this thing on it, and the third one was black. And we were on a fairy. I can't think what you called it. Then a couple of days later, and he and the Greek psychic and some other people were sitting out on the deck, looking at these pictures, and then they came and got me. So I went out, and Craig's like, Jodi, what is this? Does this make sense to you? And I just kind of went, and I looked at Catherine, the Greek psychic, and she was just nodding. She knew what it was too. It's the most incredible picture. And I have it. You'll see it on some of my stuff, because I asked Craig if I could have it. And it literally is a rip or a tear in the veil, and you see the entirety of the heavenly host. In other words, all of the angels.
What?
And he's just shooting straight out from him. He's not shooting up at the sky. This was like straight out, like if you're sitting next to me and taking pictures of you. It is absolutely phenomenal.
That's
so
so
wild.
wild.
All right, tell us what exactly where to find this. Well, tell our listeners and me, so that I can do this immediately after the show, where to see this. You said you use this image. Where, what specific?
I've got it on my website.
Okay.
I think I still have it up there. I just did cell phone wallpapers. And so if you go on my website and go to the wallpapers that I have, there's one of them. It's kind of a long oval in the dark, but it's with how do I say, almost like beams going this way and this way. So horizontally and vertically from it. And in the center of it, it is literally all of the brightest colors that you've ever seen. It's like you just threw the rainbow into it, but they're just these little itty bitty tiny dots. It's mind blowing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because I said to him, I can die and go to heaven right now. This is heaven. Right? I'm looking at this.
That's so wild. And that's wild that you've always felt that physical pull towards open sky. That's amazing.
Like I said, it all makes sense. But I mean, it took me how long to get there?
Right.
But and that's why I tell everybody, because people say, why can't I see angels? I just say, because it's not your time to, or you're not ready to. I mean, who knows why? But just be patient and just keep yourself open and receptive, because they're there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can I ask you about the repeating numbers that you mentioned earlier?
Oh, yes.
So are we talking angel numbers here? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, and I'm only laughing because
we had a conversation about this earlier.
Yeah, and Tressa sends me numbers all the time, or she goes like, "Ain't no numbers," or like, "This number." Yes, you do, in like video, like clips, whatever. You totally.
Yeah, I totally do that. So let me ask you a question about angel numbers then, because I see repeating numbers all the time, and I always take note, because I'm like, listen, that's there's no such thing as coincidence, so I'm going to take note of that. And then I'm like, I don't know what to do with that, so I'll Google it. Do specific numbers actually mean a specific thing, or am I Googling for no GD reason?
So first thing, let me say about Googling, you will get variations of what the numbers mean. And so what I have done, as well as some other people who work with angels, very, very seriously, like I do, I've narrowed it down to what they do mean. I need to get it posted on my website. In fact, you guys are great motivation. I'll put it up tomorrow so that people have it as a reference. Because those that take this class that I just finished recording and will drop, they'll get it there. But I'll put it out there. But like 111, that is like the divine number. Mm-hmm. So that is coming from God, from creation, from the source. When you see that is literally the universe talking to you. So you need to be aware of what's going on around you, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your situation is, all of that. And then you've got 333. Oh my gosh, 333 people get that so many times. That means you're being supported. Angels got your back. That's exactly what it is. So it
That's
is
nice.
probably because you're feeling alone, or you're
Yeah.
really anxious about something, or you're really afraid of something.
Yeah.
You're going to see the 333. They're letting you know, hey, we got you. It's going to be okay. You know, and then you can go right on down the line with all of them. I'm not going to remember all of them sitting here. Even I have to look them up sometimes, just because I'll have something thrown at me that it's like, well, I know it's not right, but now you really confuse me because my brain is getting older. I don't have a claim on having it all photographic memory.
I mean, you're close though. 2 years old.
Yeah,
Get
3
out
or
of
4
here.
years old thing. I don't remember what happened last year.
Nope.
You kidding me? No idea.
Nah.
There's sometime in the past, however many.
You know what's really good for that? Either ashwagandha tea or jasmine tea.
Mm.
Okay, I'll go with the
great for
jasmine
clarity.
tea. All right.
Great for clarity.
Focus on the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So have you ever had ringing in your ears? Your ears
Yes,
start to
so much lately
Yeah.
too. And it's not tinnitus. It's completely different. And it's always like, okay, I know somebody's trying to tell me something. Could you be more clear? Because I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Really? Is that like a message thing? Like what
yes.
happens when you stop being able to hear in one ear for a minute? Is that also
no.
something?
Yeah, I have tinnitus from the military, from all the
Okay.
loud noise. And part of my work was I was a DJ. And so I'd sit there with the headphones on all day, rock and roll, you know, just screaming in my ears. But no, my grandma always said growing up, when my ear would start to ring, she'd go, somebody's talking about you. Well, she was close. Angels are talking about you, but they're also talking to you. It's
Yes.
both and is what it is. And I caution people with that. If it's coming in through your right ear, it's going to be a good positive message. If it's coming in through your left ear, you have to be careful. It still could be, but you really need to pay attention because, of course, one thing with the fallen angels is they are tricksters.
Yeah.
And so they can give you a message that you think, oh, hey, that's great. But then when you sort of break it down, then you go, oh, wait, no, I don't think I want to do that. So again, you have to sort of take that step back. You have to take the pause and think, what is sort of occupying my thoughts right now? Because that's probably what the message is about. And so then that's going to help you to get it figured out. And then they're going to give you something else if they didn't already give it to you with the ringing in the ear, what the message is. Sometimes it's only going to be one word. Sometimes it's going to be, you've got, your radio playing in the car, and it's one of those songs where it just keeps repeating a phrase, and you want to go, shut it off.
But
Well,
before you do that, listen to what it's saying.
Yeah. Singing the Police, I'm sorry. His music loops too much.
There.
But yeah.
I'm still stuck on this idea that you can literally have a good angel on like one shoulder and a bad one on the other. There's cartoon versions of
I
me
would
just
think of
telling
it
me
like
what
that.
to do.
You shut up.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I say
Immediately.
be careful with the right and the left side, because
Yeah.
that's not always the case. And to always, there's a lot of people who are left-handed. And of course, I know like back when I was growing up, I didn't go to a Catholic school, but the nuns would whack the hands of kids that wrote left-handed because they said they were full of the devil. Well, no, I mean.
Oh, that's not true. I'm so sorry, Jeni.
No.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
I do know one left-handed person, and they are kind of full of the devil. So
My one brother-in-law is right-handed, and he's the sweetest guy in the world. So I know that's not the case.
okay,
But
We'll
it's sort of
see.
one of those, like an urban legend that's just been out there, and it's not necessarily true. And that's why I say you just have to take that step back and really look at it, discern it.
Yeah.
Discern's an odd word. I'm not comfortable with the discernment, but it's it's what it is.
Explore. How about explore?
Yeah, great. I like that.
Oh, there
Go
you
on
go.
an adventure with the angels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
Oh,
I've
man.
been having a lot of repeating numbers and a lot of earringing in the past like 3 weeks, and it's gotten to the point where I'm like, you guys, you gotta something, because I'm just watching TikTok right now, and this is not something I want to remember or be given a message about. So please, I don't know,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, they're really trying to get your attention because you're not listening.
No, I'm not. I'm done.
No, she's ignoring a lot of things.
Mostly
Right.
you, Jenny.
Yeah, mostly me.
What?
Well, the interesting thing is angels aren't going to give you things just to give you things. Somewhere in your psyche, you've asked them to bring you the messages.
I've
So,
very clearly done that. Yeah.
subconsciously, unconsciously, if not
Mhm.
consciously, you've done that, because they're not just going to volunteer. They're not like that. They're not pushy. So while Tressa, you're not getting the message, but you want the message, and so they're just bam, 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 bam.
Okay, this
I'm not
makes perfect
bright.
sense. It really does, because she's definitely been asking the questions, but apparently is just like, no thank you to the answers. All right.
Maybe I don't like the answers. Maybe that's why I'm not paying attention. So it's fine.
You don't know because you don't know what they are because you're not paying attention.
Maybe I do. Maybe I'm unconsciously.
All right, listen. We can sort this out later.
All right, fine. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All
What
right.
else do you
I
want to
love this. I love this because oh my God, everything.
We're coming up on time.
So when we start, we are.
Wrap
But when
it up,
we
Jenny.
start doing some of these, rituals and things, we start to clear a little bit of the space. And certainly then reaching out to you, checking the website, doing, scheduling a reading, something along those lines is going to be helpful.
Right.
To somebody who is looking to understand or start to learn how to understand their own signals, right? This is something that you can kind of pay attention to and start to learn via your courses, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And then, like Sarah Lemos, you probably know Sarah Lemos.
She's a delight. My goodness.
Her and I are doing retreats all across the country. We've got one coming up in Sedona the first weekend of April now, and then we've got one here in Minneapolis towards the end of October. And we help with a lot of stuff like this. So she's coming from the psychic medium angle. I'm coming from the angelic angle. And it's actually really incredible what sort of comes out of that. And then we're going to be doing more next year. That's kind of what we've got so far this year. And then I'm planning a big event here in Minneapolis, November 8th. I can't tell you any details yet because we're still finalizing. Okay. But that is going to be about navigating this great awakening. And I'm actually starting a podcast, part of a special series on my podcast, I should say. It'll drop the first Sunday of every month with another friend of mine who's a psychic medium. And that's going to be helping people to navigate this awakening.
Oh, I love that. Because I keep hearing that, and it's like, I don't know what that means. Tell me how to do this. I love this.
And it's not as hard as you think. The thing is, people don't understand it. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to show people and tell people and help walk them through what it really is. It's not some big boogeyman. It really isn't. It's all good.
I mean, it sounds like it's great, but I don't know what it means. So I'm going to devour this series. Thank you very much for giving it to us.
Thank you.
It's a very circuitous way to go about that.
Hey, that's how I talk. Deal with it, Jenny.
You guys are
we
great.
are at the end of this show. Tell us all the things you want to plug, even if it's, we'll have it in the show notes and everything, but go ahead. Go nuts.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is everything's on my website, which is chaplainjodi.me, and chaplain is spelled out and Jodi is spelled with an I, and it's me like me. But there, it's the links to get to the classes. It's the, the latest podcast is going to be there. The rituals are there. I call them celebrations. There's just everything you can possibly imagine there. And if not, there's a contact me little button on there where you can message me and I can get you to what you need. So that's probably it in a nutshell, which just sort of encapsulates it all. But the podcast is called Survivor Angels, and it's on YouTube and, Apple Podcast and Spotify and all of those.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
And again, in the show notes, you guys go get it. It's going to be great.
Mhm.
Jeni, do you have any last words before I yell into my mic?
Please don't yell into your mic, but also thank you. This has been really cool to hear. Very timely. And yeah, I just really appreciate it. Also, don't know if anybody noticed, but we had a whole month of female interviews, and I feel good about that this
I
month.
feel great about that.
Yeah. So
That's
thank you for
awesome.
closing that out. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys are great. Keep on, keep it on.
Yeah, thank you. You're great. Thank you so much for joining us.
And I'm
This
sure
has
we'll
been
see you at
super
some
fun.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, and please
Thank
stick around
you.
right after the close, and just so we can thank you again. Yeah, that
Everybody else, go see our stuff in the social medias and our website, monstersloungepodcast.com, and buy our merch and write us and stuff, and we'll send you some headshots. Thanks for joining us this week.
Good.
Bye.